Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching. Thank you for joining us. Today we are in the Fun Parent Studio for a new type of video that we're going to be doing in studio. These are going to be more of an informational series. This is the first video in that series, and this particular video is going to focus on annual passes. So if you click the link to this video, you are probably contemplating buying an annual pass somewhere, no matter where it is. It doesn't matter because we're going to kind of touch on the pros and cons in a general high-level overview here to give you guys everything that you may need to purchase an annual pass to anywhere. With that being said, let's talk a little bit about annual passes and what they are. So basically what an annual pass is an agreement that you have with a attraction or a amusement park or anywhere where you pay an upfront price and then you get access to that place for basically a year. Some of these annual passes come with multiple location options. Some of them are limited to just that one location, and prices are going to vary depending on where you're trying to go. For our family, we generally will use some specific guidelines around whether or not we're going to purchase an annual pass somewhere. The first thing is geographic location. This is not always the case, and we'll talk more about this in a little bit later on in the video. But usually within an hour of the house is kind of our break-even point where we're willing to drive an hour one way to go somewhere to a place more than one time. And then the other key thing that we kind of take into consideration is this a place where the kids are going to have the same level or better level of fun each time they go? And that, I think, is where you guys have to kind of use your kids as your own guide to see, is this place going to be somewhere that we're going to be coming to more often, or is it going to be a place that's going to be a one and done for us? Okay, so now let's talk about the pros of having an annual pass. The first pro that you are going to find is going to be savings. So with any annual pass program, there is always going to be a break-even point for you as a family where it makes more sense to have the annual pass than it doesn't. For the sake of this video, we're going to talk about two separate examples. One is going to be pretty straightforward. The other one gets a little bit more complex, and we'll talk about that when we get to that example. The first example is going to be the Bronx Zoo. So when going to the Bronx Zoo with a family of four, which is what we have, it generally is going to cost you, if you went online and bought tickets today, it would be about $150 total for a family of four to get admission into the zoo on any given day of the week except for Wednesdays, which is their donation day. And the reason that they have a donation day is so that you can go in and pay what you feel is good for a price to get into the zoo for donation days. Compared to that $150 one-day admission pass, you can buy an annual pass for $225. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a $97 difference in price between the two if you go on the website, and it will get you access to that zoo for 12 months as many times as you want to go. So it's kind of a no-brainer there. If you go twice, you're breaking even and actually making money at that point. Some things to take into consideration there as well. That $150 price tag just to get into the zoo does not include the paid attractions that they have there. So the Congo gorilla exhibit, the bug carousel, the Asia pavilion, the monorail, these are all add-on exhibits that you have to still pay for once you're in the zoo. If you think about that, this is even a better deal, and it's kind of a no-brainer to just pay the $225 and get the pass. One other thing to note about the Bronx Zoo is they charge for parking. For the particular trip that we were looking at, just to get an example here today, it was $20 to park in the South Street or the Southern Boulevard parking area, which is, I guess, their preferred parking. If you pay an additional $17 on top of the $225, you get free parking every time you go. Now let's get into a topic that's going to be a little bit more in the weeds here, and I'm probably going to get some comments down below attacking me one way or the other, but let's talk a little bit about Disney World. So, Disney World's annual pass program is currently not available for the Incredipass, which is what used to be their Platinum Pass. We're not here to discuss the politics of Disney or what their decisions are on price increases. That's not what this is about. That's not what we're here for. What I'm giving you is the facts. So let's take a look at our experience with the Disney World Annual Pass program. Back in 2018 and 2019, me and my family went on 2 separate vacations to Disney World within a 12-month period. Because we were going on 2 trips within a 12-month period, it financially made sense for us to purchase an annual pass. Here's the breakdown of how that worked. The annual passes at that point cost $850 per pass for us to be able to have the year access to Disney World's parks. As a hopper option, it also included the Memory Maker program, which we purchased every time we went to Disney before that, so it just seemed like a no-brainer. At that time, in 2018, when we purchased those annual passes, 10 days was the break even. Okay, so if you were gonna be in Disney World for more than 10 days out of the year, it made financial sense for you to just buy the annual pass. Now let's take a look at current pricing. If the Incredipass was available today, that same platinum version pass would be $1,299 before tax, and that does not include the Memory Maker, which is an additional $99 for the year, okay? So you're looking roughly around $1,400 for the annual pass, which is a little less than double what we paid back in 2018. With that being said, that also doesn't include Disney Genie Plus, or the Genie Plus, which will get you onto rides quicker, similar to the free Fast Pass program that they used to have. Again, I'm not gonna get into it. Comment down below if you have issues with the Genie Plus. I'm curious to hear what your take is on it. That's not what we're here for today. Whatever. So, I went on Disney's website today, and I did a price quote for a 10-day hopper pass, including Genie Plus and also the Memory Maker. For the 10 days, now I pushed out to June to kind of get a more higher end ticket price there. It worked out to be $1,072.12. Now, is there still a break even to have an annual pass in Disney World? And I truly do believe there is. Comment down below and let me know if you think there is still a break even for Disney, if it makes sense for you to purchase an annual pass, and we'll talk more about why there might be another reason to benefit from having the annual pass in the next segment. So now let's go on to our next topic, and that's going to be member perks and discounts. So with any annual pass program, there's usually some kind of an incentive for you to have the pass outside of just basically getting into the place. They are gonna most of the time give you some kind of a discount on merchandise ranging anywhere from 10 to 20% depending on which pass you get. You're also gonna get exclusive member merchandise. Sometimes they give you a backpack when you first sign on. Sometimes they give you, opportunities to buy things before they're available to the public. And then they also have things like member events. So first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about member discounts. We are Legoland pass holders. And when we go to Legoland, we generally spend a decent chunk of time in the big store at the end of our day. Now, the reason we do that is our kids like Lego, and we're gonna buy them Lego, whether it be for birthdays or, they did something well, or they have allowance money they wanna use. So why not just buy the Lego sets there and save 10% off with our annual pass versus buying them at a Target or a Lego store or somewhere else where we're not gonna get that discount. That also kind of goes hand in hand with my point about Disney World. So Disney World gives you a 10% discount if you're an annual pass holder. If you're gonna be going to Disney for 10 to 12 days, or even if you're going for a week, you are going to be spending a lot of money in the parks, at Disney Springs, at the resorts. No matter what you do, you're going to be spending money. So if you could save an additional 10%, build that into your cost. Whatever your budget is for souvenirs, food, that kind of stuff, build it into your overall cost number to figure out when you're doing your analysis on whether or not it is a better option for you to do the annual passes. Moving on to member merchandise. So this one here, I would say Disney probably has the competitive advantage. With Disney's pass holder merchandise, you get access to a lot of really cool stuff that the general public is not able to get their hands on. With them kind of restricting how many of these items you can buy now, it is a little bit easier for you to get some of this stuff. One of the examples that I know I took advantage of while we were pass holders was the coasters and the magnets from the Food and Wine Festival. Because we were there for 14 days in 2019, we were able to go over to Epcot whenever we basically felt like it because we were staying at Beach Club. And we were able to get the coasters, we were able to get the magnets, we were able to get the limited edition pass holder pins for both Food and Wine and the Mickey's Not So Scary Party. I was able to get the Mickey's Not So Scary Magic Band that was limited edition. So there really is a lot of cool merchandise that you can get as a Disney pass holder. Now let's talk a little bit about member events. So there are a lot of really cool events that you can attend as a pass holder. Some of the examples of the places that we've been as a member and had really great experiences. Liberty Science Center, usually when they open up a new exhibit, they will do a pass holder preview event. Usually it's on like a Saturday morning, about 2 hours before the crowds all get in. It's a lot less busy. Your kids really can have a lot more time engaging with the exhibits and have a lot more hands-on experience than they would on a normal day, when Liberty Science Center tends to get a little crazy on the weekends, especially if it's not a nice day outside. The Bronx Zoo Holiday Lights is another fantastic event that I highly recommend going to if you haven't been there yet. As a pass holder, you get a free admission to that event in November. We had so much fun at that event. I will put a link down below to all of these for you to watch if you want to catch up on kind of our videos on what we did when we went to these places. And the last one is Legoland New York. So Legoland New York did open to the general public in July of 2021. We were invited out to a pass holder preview event in May of 2021. And let me tell you, it poured. It was not a fun weather experience, but being in Legoland and seeing it for the first time way before the general public was able to was worth having the annual pass for there. So now let's talk about multiple locations. So one of the things that a lot of people don't realize when they're purchasing their, like, let's use the Bronx Zoo for example, their Bronx Zoo annual pass. You have access to, I think it's to like 6 other zoos and aquariums in the New York area. So even if you're not looking to go back to the Bronx Zoo necessarily right away, there are many other options that you can go to with that annual pass at no additional cost. The same is true for Legoland. If you buy the Platinum Legoland annual pass, you get access to all Legolands around the country. You also get access to the Sea Life Aquarium, Legoland Discovery Centers, and I believe there's a few other items in there as well. We haven't really gone anywhere outside of Sea Life, Legoland Discovery Center, and Legoland New York at this point, but we're really excited to use those passes as we start to explore other states and find what other things are out there. Now let's talk about the cons.
Bummer.
First and foremost, when it comes to cons, your kids are going to get bored. It's reality. Let's be honest. Even a Disney World fanatic's kids, at some point or another, the kid will say to you, I don't know if I want to go back to Disney World again. With that being said, there's nothing more painful than renewing your annual pass to a certain place and then saying, hey kids, do you want to go to the Liberty Science Center this weekend? And having your kids go, nah, I don't really want to go there anymore, and you've already just forked out the money for the pass. So my suggestion here is, if you are coming up for renewal, do not make the parental assumption that your kids are going to want to go back there. Leave it up to your kids, involve them in the conversation. It's a great opportunity to talk about cost. It's a great opportunity to talk about investing money in other things with your kids. And overall, just loop them into the conversation and see if it's something that they really want to do. Now we're going to talk a little bit about reservation systems in a post-COVID world. This is probably the bane of my existence as the fun parent. Ever since COVID and things started reopening again, everyone's kind of instituted these reservation systems where you can't just wake up on a Saturday morning and say, let's get in the car and go. We have not had great luck with reservation systems since COVID kind of shut everything down. The Bronx Zoo, a lot of the weekends that we had available to go, we couldn't get reservations on Saturdays or Sundays. Legoland New York, we made it to the annual pass holder preview, but even me getting the email and going in to make the initial reservation for our preview day, we were 2 days after the first possible availability day to do it, just because everyone else jumped on and did the exact same thing at the exact same time that I was trying to do. With that being said, Legoland New York, we also weren't even able to go back there again until the fall. So with the entire summer as annual pass holders, we couldn't get in there to save our lives. Every time we had a weekend free, I tried to go book it. It was like a month out before you could get a reservation. And last but not least, when it comes to the cons, you're paying money even when you're not paying money. What I mean about this, you are going to a theme park, or you're going to a zoo, or you're going to a science center. You have to pay to drive there. A lot of times you may be paying tolls to get there. You're paying gas money. When you're there, if you don't bring food with you, you're gonna be paying for food. You're gonna be probably paying for souvenirs. These are all things that you have to take into consideration. Just because you're paying for an annual pass and you're going somewhere, it does not mean that it's always going to be free. We are the perfect examples of that. Even having an annual pass to the Bronx Zoo, we rarely get out of there without spending at least $100. So we've talked about what an annual pass is. We've given you kind of some guidance around when we purchase annual passes. We talked about the pros, we talked about the cons. Now let's discuss what we think about annual passes now. It is very frustrating as a pass holder to anywhere when you go online to make a reservation for a place that you've paid money to go to when you want and you can't get in. I have seen availability opening up at the Bronx Zoo more frequently now than it has in the past. The Disney World Parks reservation seems to be working a little bit better now than it has in the past. As far as Disney World goes though, I still think if you are a current pass holder to Disney World, you're probably running into some issues with getting park reservations because the resort guests are taking them all up. Legoland New York is closed now for the season, so we have not gone back there since our last video there, which again, I will link all the videos to the places we've talked about today from our experiences down below. So when it comes to would I continue annual passes, so I can tell you that we have already we did not renew our Bronx Zoo annual pass. We got rid of the Liberty Science Center annual pass back in 2020, the end of 2020 actually. We did not renew it. Disney, we only did it from 18 to 19. So right now, the only annual pass that we're currently holding on to is Legoland New York. It's not that we don't enjoy going to these places, it's just we were annual pass holders for so many years. We've been there so many times, and now it was time to say, all right, do we really need to keep doing this? And that's kind of where we made the decision not to do it anymore. But that's our take on it. I don't know what you guys think. Leave me a comment below if you guys are thinking that an annual pass is gonna work for you guys, or if it's not. I hope the information that I provided here gave you guys some kind of guidance on what my thought process is, being that we were members for a lot of these places. And if you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button, click that notification bell, because frankly, this is an in-studio video, but a lot of our videos are on location at these places, and we give you guys a lot of tips and tricks as to where to go and what to do while you're there. So if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, everybody. And with that being said, we're done, son. Now let's talk about which didn't give us a full year, if that makes sense. Let's go back. We're not going to talk about the Bronx Zoo part. Erase that out. Today we are coming from the Fun Parent Studio, which is basically my kids' playroom. Who are we kidding?